Today, I really had to catch myself almost going back into cycles that I had already healed from when it comes to my relationship with work. It is very uncharacteristic of me to be going through an entire quarter and not taking a single day off, with the exception of the 2 days I was sick. But I remember at the beginning of my career, I always felt this level of guilt for taking time off. Granted, when I first started at my company, we had, like, you essentially had PTO accruing per paycheck. But a couple of years ago, the company pivoted to unlimited time off up to 4 weeks, where you would use your discretion, take the vacation, take the breather, and not have to worry about being reprimanded or, your rewards being affected by that decision. And I've been in a very interesting place in my job over the past few months where everyone on my team had been on LOA, besides, so leave of absence, besides me. And so I did feel this responsibility when it came to the stakeholders that we're engaged with, just to ensure that, like, my team was holding our weight and providing the services, support, and partnership needed in order for there to be a smooth process as a whole in the recruiting workflow. But last month, we did end up hiring someone onto the team, and one of my team members also came back from LOA. And so I will say, for like the past month or so, I've really been in my mentoring, onboarding bag, and on top of, doing my job, also leaning in to ensure that they were aware of, the responsibilities, expectations, and we also recently pivoted to a new applicant tracking system. So process end to end has changed quite a bit. Workflow has changed. And yeah, I've gotten to a point where I am like, Brienne, you better catch yourself before you unknowingly get back into that same cycle that you were in at the beginning of your career that led to burnout. And I can see it, like, in my face, I can feel it in my body, and I am reminded, and I want to remind whoever's watching this, of the importance of taking breaks. We can oftentimes take on other people's responsibilities. We can take on other people's burdens. And I mean, today I had a candidate, we were in the middle of a phone screen where I was just like going through, just the necessary typical HR screen. And middle of the call, he was like, "I'm so sorry, but my wife is calling me." I'm not about to cry, I'm just about to yawn because I'm so tired. Excuse me. Um, yeah, he was like, my wife called. She never calls and tells me that I need to pick up. So is it okay if I just give you a call back? And I'm like, yeah, like, this is clearly an emergency. I will not penalize you or, include this in any of my write-up because you're a human first, candidate second. So it turns out one of his family members had been scammed out over $10,000 by these people who told her that her daughter was in a car accident and essentially they needed to pay for the repairs for the car. And so I suppose the family had caught on that it was a scam and that it was not the actual car company who had called. And so, he said it would only be 5 minutes. And I was like, no, honestly, like, take the time that you need. And it reminded me, like, in that moment as well, that we are all human first. There's a lot of ish going on in this world, and we are expected to take in all of the media, empathize with what's going on, have the awareness about how we need to move day to day, be there for each other while also showing up at work. And I think today it really hit me, and I was like, Brienne, no. Like, we are going to schedule the PTO. So I surely did block off a couple weeks in April, and I am going to take some time, not going on, well, might end up messing around and going on vacation, but the plan is to literally be at home and just recuperate, spend some quality time with my husband, get my taxes done, get them taxes knocked out, and yeah, like just being okay with like not being responsible for anything at work. And back in 2022, once, we started to be able to travel again, I started implementing these quarterly retreats, I would call them. So whether it was going to a getaway cabin, which we did a lot of during the pandemic, since there was one like an hour drive from Raleigh and wouldn't require us to get on a plane, potentially catch COVID, all of that. Whether it was a getaway cabin, whether I went to DR for one of my friend's 30th birthdays, um, vacation, solo trip, like quarterly, just getting away. And I don't know who I thought I was in 2026 by not following the schedule. We're going to be at the end of the month in 2 weeks, and there are no trips in my Delta app, which is weird. So, yeah, I think today I was just like, don't let yourself creep back into that habit, because especially in this current environment where there is a lot of focus and emphasis on layoffs right now across the board. We all see the job market. Working in recruiting, I see it firsthand daily. And I always told myself that I would never let myself essentially get to the point where I'm working out of fear, or I'm putting in overtime out of fear. Like, I'm going to do it because I enjoy it or because I know it's part of my body of work. And then I'm going to let God take care of the rest. And that is something that, like, I think a lot of us, whether it's the high performance culture, whether it is increase in span of control for managers, whether it is you looking around in 2026 doing the work of what 2 to 3 people were doing in 2022, like, we just have to remind ourselves, do not subscribe to hustle culture, do not subscribe to fear-based work, and remember that it is important for you to take breaks. We are currently in a transitionary period with the seasons, at least here on the East Coast, where we had a little pump, what do they call it? Pump fake pump, whatever. Had 80-degree weather for the past 70s, 80s for the past few days. And then today, right now, it's 40 degrees. And I was on a walk this morning, crazy enough, like just in my tank top, and all of a sudden, like, I see these dark clouds. So I'm like, let me go ahead and turn my black self around and get in that car. And by the time I get out of my car and come back to the house, it feels like it is like 30 degrees. But that's not the point. The point is that the flowers are beginning to bloom again. They were not in bloom, a month ago, because there are rotations and seasons in which they're alive, they are going into hibernation, they are then getting ready to bloom again, they're in full bloom in the summer. Like, it is, I always have to remind myself to look to nature as a reflection of how I am meant to operate. So if you are watching this and you are also equally tired, exhausted, or just realizing that you are kind of on the hamster wheel and need to take a break, especially if you have the PTO, do it. If if it means a half day, do it. Like, I'm surprised at myself. Sorry, I keep doing so many long pauses, but I'm like, how did we get back here? Because she always had, like, Brienne never finished a trip without another one being booked. But maybe we call it her being more responsible with money. I don't know. Maybe it's just a lot that's coming up on the horizon. But we gonna take this break, enjoy it, kick our feet up. I literally want to do a whole day of just catching up on Paradise because I haven't watched any of this season yet. I'm currently reading Speak by Tunde. I read it like 2024 maybe, but I am in a season where I need to read it again. So I look forward to doing that. I look forward to repotting my plants. There's a lot of them that like the roots are growing out of the bottom, and I'm like, oh sis, it's time for me to repot you. So there's some that I'm gonna have to split up. There's some that I'm just gonna have to get bigger pots for, but nonetheless, I have my hobbies, I have my life admin stuff that needs to get done, and it's gonna get done while I am completely disconnected from work and just recharging. So let this be a reminder, take care of you, take your breaks as needed. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.